What's going on, y'all? Welcome into Believe in Kentucky alongside Aaron Gershon for the Cats Pause. My name is Vinny Hardy, and we are here for another episode. AG, man, it's summertime, it's slow time. There's supposedly nothing going on, nothing to talk about, but we still got stuff happening.
Yeah, there's never a dull moment around here, it feels like. But we were just talking about before we started. It's nice to be talking about a stay-go decision on NBA draft deadline day at 8:48 and knowing the answer. As, no matter who the coach has been. Last year it was Jackson Robinson, who didn't even formally announce his pulling out decision and obviously committed to Kentucky all in one a day after. Just didn't make it public. Obviously, he made it privately known because you have to. But I remember Hamidou Diallo. Remember he came in as I think he was a mid-year enrollee, and then he tested the waters. Was he going to be the first none and done? And obviously Shannon Sharp became the first none and done. But remember there was a time where Hamidou Diallo was almost the first none and done. So obviously Kentucky fans are used to these. I know the fan base was agonizing over it on Twitter. We've said it here, like it would have taken a lot for Otega Oweh to pass up the opportunity to come back. He would have needed a first round guarantee, maybe even a top 20 guarantee, and it just wasn't happening. I mean, obviously you're seeing a lot of guys pull their names out, so there's less competition there. And it's very good for college basketball that NIL has leveled the playing field to the point where all these kids are coming back. But, even going back 3 weeks ago to Boogie Fland, who's now at Florida, today with Tahad Pettiford, Carter Knox the other day, Yaxel Lendenberg, like all these guys coming back. I could get a little bit more of the anxiety, but at the end of the day, I don't think Otega Oweh was going to be a first-round pick this year. Now he comes back with all that NBA draft prep experience and kind of knowing what scouts want to see from him. And I think he did the absolute right thing, taking it up to the last day. Why not? Soak it all in, learn what the pros want you to do to take the next step and make it a motivating factor on top of, having unfinished business from a winning perspective here. So, good on Otega Oweh for going process, giving it a shot, and really good news for Kentucky and him too, because I think this is a better team around him than he was when he was with last year. He's gonna have another year in this system, another year with this platform, but obviously Mark Pope and his staff and this program just a huge win to get your leading scorer, your best player, your most consistent player from a year ago back. And it just doesn't happen much at Kentucky nowadays. I mean, it's just, with all the years with Calipari, with all these one and dones, or guys who played above, and to their credit and Cal's credit, guys like a Reed Shepherd, guys like Tyler Hero, guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who on paper, thought you're going to have for multiple years, come here and play great, and they're one and dones. There aren't many days to celebrate getting your leading scorer back, and Kentucky and the fan base gets that today.
Yeah. So it's win-win for everybody. We had talked about it a couple episodes back. Where Pope said in his presser, continuity as a staff from year one to year two, how his players make a big jump from year one to year two. They don't have to think as much. They, all the reactions get quicker and just more instinctive. And now you got guys who are returning, in Noah and Oweh and Garrison and Chandler and so on and so forth. You got that in place to help Malachi and Jasper and Jalen Lowe and Diabate and Aberdeen. So all that stuff is kind of getting rolling now, and it's just a good thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team with obviously is going to go into the year preseason top 10, and they're going to be one of the teams that has a chance to win it all. I mean, and there are a good amount of teams. I think there's a lot of good parity in college basketball. You go look, Houston's pretty much bringing back their whole squad that came a point shy of winning it all. Florida has done an outstanding job reloading. I mean, you lose that whole backcourt, including Denzel Aberdeen, and you go in and get AJ Brown from Ohio, and you get Boogie Flan from Arkansas, obviously, and Xavier Lee from Princeton. Like, that is legit. And not to mention, they bring back their entire front court. So
Yeah.
it's going to be right up there with the best of them. Purdue with Braden Smith back, on paper looks pretty good. I'm always cautious on them. I don't necessarily buy into them as much as others. Obviously, Kentucky will get a look at them during the preseason at Rupp, but Auburn had a really good day today too, getting Todd Pettiford back. So there's a lot of teams out there that are. Louisville obviously has a great roster. Duke has a great roster. Like, there are a lot of capable teams out there, but yeah, you want to give yourself a chance to beat any of those. And I think how Kentucky's constructed, I don't think last year you could have said that. I know they beat Duke early on. I think if we're all honest with ourselves, if Kentucky and Duke were to meet in the NCAA tournament last year, Duke probably would have won the game. But you know what? You play them when you play them, and Kentucky has that win they can brag home about. Same with the Florida team. I think it's same. I feel the same way. But you play them when you play them. But this year, I don't think there's going to be a game on their schedule, and maybe a team overperforms or plays even better than I'm expecting or others expect, and it is what it is. But I don't think there's a game on the schedule right now on May 28th that you can look at and say, yeah, Kentucky's going to get outgunned and they're going to be outmatched in this one, where I don't think anyone really expected them to have much of a chance against Auburn last year. We know how that played out. Then again, they punched above their weight class. They won a couple crazy games like Florida and Duke, but they were overmatched in a handful of games. Even they beat Tennessee twice, but it felt like they were outmatched, obviously, in the NCAA tournament, and injuries had something to do with that. But point is, I don't think there's going to be any game this year, at least on paper, where you're going to say, oh yeah, Kentucky doesn't have enough dudes as them. Where last year that was the case. It was year one, and that's totally cool. But Mark Pope knew you can't have that problem again this year, and they don't have that problem, especially now with Otega Oweh officially coming back.
Yeah, I don't have your spreadsheet to put up like I did a couple episodes ago, but it's full. It's deep. There's a lot of depth to it. I see a lot of people worrying about shooting because there's not a Kobe Bryant or whatever. I think it's gonna be fine. I mean, somebody's gonna shoot them. Somebody's gonna hit them. There's gonna be people that obviously gonna. Oh, he's shooting better than I thought. I didn't expect him to shoot, but I don't know. I think it's just summertime and people want to quibble and have something to worry about, or people are already doing the starting lineup. So what it's going to be, we don't know. Sometimes the coaches might not even know. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't start till halfway through the season, and Benny Snell didn't start right off the bat. So sometimes the coaches are there and they still have to figure it out as they watch practice every single day. But the lack of as far as the numbers are concerned, percentage-wise on paper, shooter, it seems to be a little bit of a murmur right now. But that'll be fine. I think that'll work itself out. And
I agree with that.
Do you think they'll shoot more? I don't know if they'll shoot 30 like Pope says, or we'll see how that works too. But I don't know.
And there's also, just to finish on that, really, you go look, there's not really a bad shooter on the roster either. You don't have a Kobe Bryant. Not many teams have a Kobe Bryant. You got really lucky you got Kobe Bryant last year. Look, I think everyone was worried about LeBron Butler, right? Going into last year, he wasn't a great three shooter at San Diego State. And what did he do? He shot almost 40%. And he even was hitting threes with one arm against Illinois in the NCAA tournament. So, we'll see what happens. I think they'll be fine. I do expect them to shoot more, though. I think they were. I really, it's not an excuse. It's true. You go look when the injury started to hit. That's when the numbers started going down. You go look at Kentucky in their non-conference, and sure, some of that is easier competition, but they were getting those. There were a lot of games where they got to 30 or close to 33s. I even want to say the Clemson game. I know they lost, but I want to say they got up a pretty. I know they didn't shoot well either. But I want to say they got up a pretty healthy amount of threes in that game. So, I think part of it was the whole new system where literally only one guy had ever played in it. And you saw by far when he was healthy, rather, Jackson Robinson was the most fearless shooter on that roster when he was healthy. Anytime he got the ball with any sort of look from three, it was going up. Even Kobe Bryant, I thought, was more conservative with it than Jackson Robinson at times last year. So I think at least the pace for sure, before the injuries, I think was exactly or close to where Kentucky wanted to be. The 3-point volume, it's got to get up. I mean, that's what they're building this thing around. And I think, again, maybe they don't have Kobe Bray on the roster, which is fine. Not many teams do. But Cam Williams is a guy who shot, I forget exactly how many attempts last year as a true freshman at Tulane. It was over 100 threes. Might have been like 153 or 163. Don't have it in front of me, but shot 41%. And he's going to have another year of experience under his belt. Again, it's going to be tough for defenders, but this system's going to open him up. I want to see what Mohamed Diabate does with more attempts. I mean, he went 12 for 26 last year. That's 46%. Let's see what he does with a higher volume, because that's going to go up. Otega Oweh shot a respectable 35%.
Yeah.
If he's coming back, he's going to be motivated to get that thing up. And he shot 37% the year before at Oklahoma. That is not terrible. Like, just because a guy doesn't have 40 or above on their numbers, like if it's like, I think Jackson finished at like 35%. And I don't think anyone thinks of Jackson. Yeah, 37.6. I don't think Jackson Robinson, like, people think he was a bad shooter. So, again, I don't think there's a Kobe Bray on this roster, but I think there's a lot of capable guys. And I think, the way Colin Chandler was shooting the ball at the end of the last year, I'm not saying he's going to be a 40% three shooter, but, he has that in his game. I truly believe that. We don't have no really idea with the Andrea Yelovich kid. He's kind of like the wild card. Like, what is he going to bring? So, Jalen Lowe, I think now that he's going to have a chance to take higher percentage shots, is going to make more. I mean, he shot 40% from three in ACC games as a freshman. So he's a capable shooter if he has the chance to take some quality looks. So, I don't know if this is going to be a knockdown 3-point shooting team. Like, maybe they'll be like Alabama last year, where they probably didn't shoot as well as they wanted to, but they still got the attempts up and they played so damn fast that no one could still, anyway, their offense was still really, really good. But, ideally, Alabama, I'm looking at now, they've shot 35% from three last year. Their best three shooter was Latrell Wrightsell, who got hurt 8 games into the year. He'll be back this year. Then Aiden Holloway was really good from three as well. He's also back. So, like, if they're a 35% three shooting team, but they're taking the attempts Alabama did, you're pretty okay with that. So, we'll see what happens. I think the more attempts, the average that is going to be slightly lower. That's just how it goes. So, we'll see. I think the biggest key, though, ahead of it is going to be the attempts and the pace. If they get those two things to, the 30 and above, most nights at least, it's not always going to be that way. And the pace, you want to see them top 15 in tempo in the country. I'll feel pretty darn good about the, second year jump in their offense.
Yeah, I think it's going to organically take care of itself, and it's not going to be a carbon copy of what we saw last year. It might look a little bit different, but it'll be, some variety, some different, visuals to it, but it's still going to be pretty effective.
They're more talented. Like, they are. Like, they're more talented, and they're, their best player is going to be in their system for year 2. They have obviously other returners. Brennan Garrison, we'll see the jump he's able to make. He's gonna have a huge opportunity here. So, I mean, you have more talented players. Like, we'll see. I don't know how it could go wrong, but I don't think there's anything to really worry about as far as the shooting goes. It'll take care of itself.
Yeah, just that little nitpicky stuff you see. It's just killing time until you get to actual games, and there's just overanalyzing and just reading too much into stuff. And
like, if anything, the only thing I look at this roster and worry about is just stay healthy. Because after last year, like, look, I'm very skeptical with the whole Jaden Quaitons thing. Like, I'll believe he's back for the opener in November when I see it. Yeah. I mean, I've just never heard of a guy, and I see, the rehab videos. It looks like he's already, walking around on the court. That's really, really impressive. But, he just had this ACL surgery at the end of March. We're not talking January. Like, we're talking the end of March. So that would be March to November, like 8 months. Like, that's pushing it a little bit. that's a little optimistic for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the injury situation with that is something to watch. Just the wear and tear throughout the year.
Yeah.
What happened last year? Was it really just bad luck? Were there issues maybe, with the training staff first year, getting to know guys? Like that is my biggest fear. But I don't think that's a huge thing either.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about last week, history was made with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP. And right now they are making quick work of Minnesota. If this holds up, he's going to be advancing to his first trip to the NBA Finals because they're up 22-7 in the first quarter. And so we had history made on the baseball side as well because Kentucky baseball made it to the third straight NCAA tournament. So it's two things we never seen before happened within a week. No cat ever had won the MVP, and now we've got
that's hard to believe.
Yeah. And now you got the Batcats making the big dance. Getting selected for the third straight time to the NCAA tournament. So they'll be playing West Virginia in Clemson. They're the 3. West Virginia's the 2. Clemson, of course, is the 1. South Carolina Upstate is the 4. So Friday at noon. Hopefully the Cats can, they made themselves have to sweat because of the way it ended, in Vanderbilt, and West Virginia's lost 9 out of 14 or something like that down the stretch. I think they kind of were limping in
a little bit.
Yeah, so
they were a lot. I thought that looked like where Kentucky was going to go. For a while there, and then they won the Big 12 too, West Virginia, in the regular season, but their slide kept them away from hosting.
So they're in. That's all you want. And now, as they say, the slate is clean for everybody, and maybe they can catch a little fire, get a little hot, get a little momentum. Such a little yo-yo into the season. We sweeping Oklahoma, winning in Knoxville, getting swept in Starkville, getting swept in Nashville. A lot of up and down stuff, but they can kind of break through. We saw them kind of a lot of one-run losses where they were just close to breaking through. But if they can kind of put it all together, well, now's the time. It's tournament time. But kudos to them for making it to the tournament. Like we talked about last week, you pretty much had to replace the entire squad that went to Omaha. Devin Burks is back, and some guys on the pitching staff are back. But to do that, and they could have just fallen completely off the cliff and been like, well, it's a rebuilding year and we'll reload. But they got to the tournament again. All this stuff is going to pay dividends in recruiting, and people see that, and they're going to be in there again. So, props to the staff and Coach Minge and everybody for getting in there. I hope they can make a little noise and do some damage down there in Clemson.
Yeah, no, awesome accomplishment. Again, never had been done before, and it was sweaty. I know they weren't. I guess they weren't even in the last 4 win, which is a little surprising, but. I guess it's true that 13 is kind of the magic number now. I think that's what it proves with the additions of Texas and Oklahoma, because usually 13 was like like you screwed up and didn't get to 14. So to get to they get to 13 league wins, they obviously blew 15 SEC leads, which is frustrating. And what could have been, maybe they could have been hosting if they win. I don't know, 4 or 5 of those, but. At the end of the day, you give yourself a chance here, and just super impressive to be there for a third straight year. And like you said, replacing, James McCoy and Devin Burks are the only 2 starters back from last year. McCoy really has kind of been in and out of the starting lineup this year. So, they really only have had 1 full-time starter. They lost their entire starting rotation last year with Poozer, Mason Moore, and Dominic Nyman all drafted.
Insane.
They lost their Johnny Hummel was the closer most of the year. He graduated. Cam O'Brien was kind of their best reliever in the second half of last year. He graduated. And, don't forget Robert Hogan, who's was their best reliever for the postseason, at least last year. He has not had a good year this year, and now he's hurt.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
basically, like, you're doing it with an entirely new group, and you have a true freshman phenom at short who
Yeah.
you're gonna have to
It's
pay
something else.
you're gonna have to pay big bucks to keep around.
Yeah.
But you got some really good young pitching with Walker, with Ben Cleaver. So, there's a lot to like. Like, they have the thing that makes Kentucky dangerous in this regional is they have 3 quality starting pitchers. With between Cleaver, I believe Walker's the other one. I believe I have it right. It's Ethan Walker. If I have that wrong, I apologize. But and then Nick Piquet, the 7th year. So, there is a lot to like about their chances from that standpoint. Like you said off the top there, West Virginia is coming in scuffling a little bit, and they do have some really good pitching there. But they're coming in scuffling. Clemson, you look at their offense. Clemson, outside of their center fielder, who's going to be a pretty early draft pick, is kind of average for that by power conference standpoints, but their pitching is elite, especially their bullpen is ridiculous. And then upstate, obviously the 4 seed, a team actually Kentucky played last year. They opened there last year. They swept a series there, but they rank, I have it right here, 2nd in the country in runs scored, 7th in batting average, 3rd in hits, 14th in home runs. So team that can really hit the ball all over the place. They have 7 guys in their starting lineup hitting above 300, but and even have some decent pitching. So I think upstate's even a little sneaky there as the 4 seed. So it's a pretty tough regional, but you could see the path for sure. And it obviously all starts with winning game 1 on Friday and putting yourself in that winner's bracket.
Absolutely. So good way to start the weekend. A little Kentucky baseball from Clemson. And did you see the baseball stadium when you went over there for the basketball game? Was it all right there?
That's a good question. I definitely saw Memorial Stadium. I don't know if I saw the baseball field. I was thinking about that the other day. I don't quite remember if I drove by it or not, but football and basketball are very close to one another. Okay. Great campus, great town for any fans that are. I'm not making the trip this time, but for any fans that are, or other media that are, it's a cool little town, great little college town there.
Yeah, and glad that it is Clemson. Glad they didn't get shipped out west, so that those that are going, can pop over there. Just pop down to Clemson and get there for the game, and it's not, a ridiculous cross country trek that you got to make to go watch them.
I know a lot of fans were open for Myrtle Beach to go to Coastal, but Clemson's not bad.
Yeah, a little more inland in South Carolina this time.
Yeah.
But, oh well. We're just glad they're in there, and hopefully they can make a little noise and get hot for sure.
Yeah, it's doable. I don't think this is I think it's a good regional. I don't think it's the best one out there. So they have a chance. And then, if they are to somehow, or not somehow, but if they are able to get through it, they'd probably be going back to LSU, because LSU might have gotten the best draw. Like, they're playing Dallas Baptist, who does this every year, and they end up losing in regionals. Rhode Island and Little Rock. So
you said that Dallas Baptist is like Gonzaga used to be.
Yeah, they're like Gonzaga. That's
the Gonzaga of baseball.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. I feel like every year they're like, they don't play anyone. They're high in the RPI. They end up making it as a 2 seed. I think they might have hosted once or twice, and then they just get bounced. So very. I always forget honestly, Gonzaga, I never forget they exist. I always forget Dallas Baptist exists until selection day.
Right. There they are getting.
Because I don't even know, like, do they even have that? I don't even know if they have, like, what other sports they have. Because they're in, what are they in? They're in Conference USA for baseball.
Did they make the NCAA, the March Madness one time? Was that them with the little guard? Or was that, or was it Oral Roberts? I'm sure I'm not confused.
Oral Roberts was the one that went to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, with the little guard. What's his name?
Yes. Max Abrams?
Yeah, I think I just confused Dallas Baptist.
They had the 7'4" center, Vanover. Yeah, Max Abrams.
Yeah.
That's right. No, Dallas Baptist, they have basketball. What are they even in? Yeah, again, like, they're just it's a weird one. But anyway, now that I'm saying that, yeah, there are D2 basketball programs. There you go.
Okay.
But now that I'm saying that, Kentucky will play Dallas Baptist in those supers. But
Yep.
anyway, LSU's got a great draw, and that'd be interesting if they had to go back to Alex Box.
Yeah. No Paul Skeens, so that's a good thing. So,
That's plus.
Yes.
Still that Jared Jones guy who absolutely nukes off them.
But, yeah. They just reload down there in Baton Rouge always.
Yeah.
So what you got coming up for everybody on the Cat's Paws, man? What you working on?
Yeah.
Short term, long term. What you got?
Yeah, we're we're in the heart of finishing that football yearbook. Just finished up interviews with both Bush Hamden and Brad White last week. So some good stuff from those two guys. I think optimism is the word I would describe. Without giving too much away, I definitely think Brad is very, very high on this unit. We'll see what happens. I think he definitely has a right to be. I mean, last year before the injuries, they were playing really good football. So, we'll see what happens there. And then just good candid stuff from Hamden. He's I really enjoyed talking to him on this one, and had some really good stuff, and broke some things down that there's a lot of newness, so there's a lot to discuss and break down. So good stuff from both those guys. Those will be in the yearbook there. And then Daryl Bird, for those on X, is down at Destin for the SEC meetings, which I think wrap up tomorrow. But he has some really good stuff coming. Did interviews with Mark Pope, which he gave a little bit of a sample to with his little scoop on Otega last night. And then Mitch Barnhart as well. He'll interview Mark Stoops for our yearbook back in Lexington here soon. I handle the coordinators. So, but yeah, that's kind of the things right now. Otherwise, it's it's that time of year. But I am not planning. I'm not going to Clemson. I don't think I'll be on the road for this NCAA baseball tournament. I actually have a trip around when the College World. I believe it'd be around when the College World Series is. So we'll see. We'll see how all that shakes out. But I will be away during the College World Series for the first 5 days of the College World Series. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If I'm not necessarily sure Kentucky's going to get that far, but definitely we'll be covering them at least remotely, and we'll see what they can do out there in Clemson first and foremost.
Did you try to work and parlay your vacation last week into the working vacation with the Destin thing?
Last week was a working vacation. This one is a vacation.
Because you could have just stayed on in Florida and then just eased on over to Destin. But
God, I wish.
Daryl's like, no, I'm going to Destin.
He's going to Destin now. I'm going right outside of Destin. In a few weeks. But it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Got to get back to Lex. It hasn't been much to do in person, but it's Kentucky. Something always comes through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. Everybody follow Aaron at agershon99, catspaws.com. Follow us at Believe in Kentucky on X, Believe in Kentucky podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Put a little 5-star rating. Leave a little review. All that stuff helps the podcast grow. We appreciate it. And you can go back and listen to old episodes, and it also comes to your device if you subscribe and like. You don't have to go searching for it. It comes right to your phone. So we definitely appreciate all that. We were live on Facebook and YouTube tonight. Appreciate people that popped on to watch, and appreciate everybody that watches later on at their convenience. So for Aaron, this is Vinny. Been a quick little episode. Glad that Otega is back. Glad the Bat Cats are dancing. Go Cats. Enjoy the rest of your week. This has been another episode of Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Network. We'll holler at y'all later on now.